Hey guys, this is Kevin from JazTime.com. JazTime.com is an online store that buys, sells, and trades authentic luxury watches. We make these videos so our customers can easily choose the best watch for themselves in the comfort of their own home. We offer the lowest prices anywhere online, and if you want to know the price, simply click on the links in the description below. If you enjoy our videos, we would greatly appreciate if you would buy a watch from JazTime.com once in a while. Alright, so today we're going to be doing a comparison between three different Rolex models. It's actually going to be between similar models. These are the SeaDweller models and the newest Deepsea model. So the very first watch here on my left, this is the recently discontinued Rolex SeaDweller. This is the SeaDweller 4000, reference number 116600. And then we have its newly updated version, the 50th anniversary edition, SeaDweller 43, and this one was recently released at the Bezel World Show in 2017, and this one is the model number 126600. And then we have the newly updated Deepsea that was released this year with updates at the Bezel World 2018 show, and this is the model number 126660. Of course, like I said, we'll have links to the watch in the description below so you can check out each individual watch and their standalone reviews or the pricing for them. But today we're going to be going through the differences between each models, starting from the dial, the bezel, so the dials, bezel, case, crown, bracelet, clasp, and we'll talk about the movements towards the end of the video. As these watches do have some similarities, but they are sort of unique in their own way. So I'm going to start off with the SeaDweller 4000 and the new SeaDweller 43. So the differences between these two watches, starting from the dial, is that we have the SeaDweller name in red for the SeaDweller 43. And you can see the SeaDweller 4000 has the text in white, and this was due because of the it's a throwback to the previous models of the SeaDweller. The original models, they used to have the red text for the SeaDweller name, so they brought it back to the 50th anniversary edition, which is the 43rd anniversary. So they brought back that red texting for the SeaDweller. They have added a Cyclops lens on top of that sapphire crystal. As you can see, it has a nice magnification for easy viewing of the date, whereas the SeaDweller is a little bit more streamlined, a little more sleek in terms of that. It has no Cyclops lens on top of that date, and you can see it doesn't have that protrusion from that Cyclops lens because the Cyclops lens is not built underneath, it's built on top of that sapphire crystal. So you can see sort of on the 3 o'clock position, that protrusion from that sapphire crystal. But of course, that's viewing it at the side angle. The hour markers are the same. They're fashioned 18 karat white gold to prevent any tarnishing, and they're all luminous filled. It's called the maxi dial, which are larger style sports hour markers. It used to be, it's about 30% larger, I believe, from the previous older models. The ones before this, the one which was the 16600. But yeah, they're 30% larger, so easier viewing. They're both luminous with a highly legible chroma-light display with long-lasting blue luminescence. So they both have easy visibility in the dark and easy visibility during the day as well. There's one other minor change that's been updated from the dial from the 4000 to the 43 anniversary, and it's it's a little bit hard to see. I'm going to get a little bit closer here. So the minute hand, they've actually extended the minute hand just a millimeter longer on the 43. Let me see if I can go ahead and move that into position a little bit better so you can see that. So you can see that the minute hand actually has a little spacing between the 4000 and the 43 is nice and aligned with the outer edge of the indices. And that's just one of the minor changes that they've done to the dial, and you actually see that on the Deepsea as well. So besides that, once again, just to briefly go over that. So the text is red for the anniversary edition. Text is white on the 4000. Cyclops lens for magnification. No Cyclops lens. And the extension of the minute hand for just better proportional view of that dial. So now what's the difference between these and the Deepsea now? So for the Deepsea, course, for the dial, same style dial as you can see. It has the maxi dial hour marker, so same thing, fashioned 18 karat white gold, has that luminosity under for glow in the dark for easy viewability, sorry. And the Deepsea name is at the 12 o'clock position, whereas the SeaDweller name is at the 6 o'clock. But of course the Deepsea is an off branch of the SeaDweller, so it has the Deepsea name and the SeaDweller name. So the previous history of these models is actually SeaDweller came first, and then that's when Rolex sort of challenged themselves to have a watch that can go deeper than the normal depths of watches could normally go. And the Deepsea is the challenge that came from the SeaDweller. So now we have the Deepsea, which has the off branch of the SeaDweller name at the 6 o'clock position with its water resistance labeled, which I'll go over later in the case when we talk about the crown. So same thing, we have the minute hand extended just a bit, so it lines up properly aligned with the outer rail indices. Once again, you can see it on the 4000. There's just a little bit of spacing between it, so it's just a nice little cleanup of the dial. One thing that they added in the 2018 models that wasn't updated in 2017 models is at the 6 o'clock position. I'm going to go ahead and put the SeaDweller 4000 down. So this is the anniversary SeaDweller. It's minor change, but at the 6 o'clock position, we see this little Swiss made underneath the 6 o'clock position. They actually added the Rolex crown logo between the Swiss and the made. So that's just a minor update between those two for that. But between the 4000 and the newer style Deepsea, the Deepsea just looks like a larger version of the 4000, really. One other difference is that the ring lock system here, you see that goes around, it says ring lock system, helium escape valve. All three watches have the helium escape valve, which I'll go later on into the crown functions, but the ring lock system is unique to the Deepsea. So what the ring lock system does is, if you're going into, of course, you're diving with these watches, as these are divers watches, professional divers watches. Let's just say you actually go to the depths that the Deepsea states, which is 3,900 meters, which no normal person would go through. It's just a bold statement of luxury, just saying I could go down there, but I won't, but I could. The thing about the ring lock system is that when you get down to those depths, the pressure gets applied to the crystal of the watch and on the case back of the watch as well. And what that ring lock system does is sort of distributes that pressure into the ring lock system, so it doesn't really damage the case of the watch or damage the crystal of the watch. So it's kind of like a sponge for that underwater pressure. So that's one unique thing about the Deepsea that the SeaDwellers do not have. Okay, so one other thing I want to mention between the three of these is that for the crystal, the SeaDwellers have a sort of hind protruding crystal. You can see it's sort of a little bit above the bezel, and that's unique to the sort of unique to the SeaDweller. As you can see, it's more like a higher walled, whereas it's not like a smooth dome. Some other watches, like a Submariner, would be a smooth dome starting from the side, but it's actually a little bit larger. So it has a little bit larger than normal sapphire crystal. Unfortunately, I don't have that exact measurement. I do apologize, but for the Deepsea, I do have the measurement of that one. There's a specific reason why the Deepsea does not have the Cyclops lens. And the reason for that is because the sapphire crystal on the Deepsea is actually 5.5 millimeters. So it's already a very, very thick crystal, and that thickness of the crystal actually shows a little bit of magnification on it. So let me put down that anniversary SeaDweller and take a look at that 3 o'clock position. The text on the Deepsea actually comes out a little bit more visible than the SeaDweller 4000, the previous older model, and that is due to the sort of inherent magnification of having a larger sapphire crystal. So it's already nice and easier to view. Of course, the larger case size helps too, giving the dial more real estate, so it can have the sort of magnification and easy viewability for the date. So I'm going to go ahead and move on now from the dial. So from the dial, those are the differences between the dials. The bezel, there's no differences. They're all unidirectional, rotatable, 60-minute graduated scratch resistant Cerachrome, which is Rolex's fancy way of saying it's a ceramic bezel. The numerals and gradations are coated in a platinum, so these, so all the Arabic numerals and the indices are all coated in platinum to sort of match with that look of the stainless steel look for the casing and the bracelets and such. The bezel is used to track elapsed time, which divers can use to track their timing on their oxygen levels and such. You can see a standalone video on how that works on each of these watches, or our tutorial videos on how to use it. But that's pretty much it for the bezel. They're all the same. As the case sizes, they're all different case sizes as we move on. The SeaDweller 4000 is a 40 millimeter case size. The 43, of course, is a 43, and the Deepsea is a 44 millimeter. So difference from the 4000 to the 43 is 3 millimeters, and from the 43 to the Deepsea will be 1 millimeter. So different case sizes. So the Deepsea will fit probably larger men's wrist. If you have a smaller wrist, maybe the Deepsea might not be the choice for you. You might want to go with the 43 or the 4000 instead. And there are other reasoning behind that. Is the next part we go into is the thickness of each watch. So the thickness of each watch, I'm actually going to show you their individual thicknesses, and I'm just going to show you them side by side afterwards. So the thickness of the watch, specifically for the SeaDweller 4000, I actually have my caliper here. So we're going to go ahead and turn that on. You can see set to zero. Thickness of the SeaDweller 4000, we're probably looking at about 14, close to 15. Yeah, there we are. So we have that 14.95, or hovering very close to 15 there. That's the thickness for that watch. It's actually not that much different from going up to the 43. I believe the 43 is just like a 0.2 or 0.1 millimeter thicker. So this is the 43 millimeter. The thickness of that, oops, apologize, let me zero that out. All right, so the thickness of that, I'm a little bit close, yeah, so 15.1, so about 0.2 millimeter difference, as I said. This is where the Deepsea, where I mentioned, you know, people with larger wrists are probably more prone to wear the Deepsea, as look at the thickness of that. It really is very thick watch. It pretty much looks like two Submariners stacked on top of each other at this point, but I'll show you the thickness of that as well. So let me go ahead, get that zeroed out. And the thickness of the Deepsea, 17.65, so about 2.5 millimeters thicker than both of the SeaDwellers. So it's a very thick watch. Will sit very high on the wrist. It will not fit under those suit cuffs, dress cuffs very nicely. So side by side comparison, you can see very similar in sizing. One thing I want to mention though is you see these little circles on the side of the case. That's called the helium escape valve. All three of these watches do have the helium escape valve. So basically, once again, divers' watches, as they resurface, you can't just resurface a diver very quickly out of the water. That could cause bodily harm. So what they do is they go into a depressurization chamber, and they're slowly lifted back up through each pressure level. And while they're doing that, it's actually the depressurization chamber they're in uses different types of gases to help with the depressurization process, and the helium escape valve is what helps, which was actually made for to be in those depressurization chambers, because one of those gases is helium, and the helium can get into the watch and actually put enough pressure from the inside to pop the crystal out from the watch face itself. And they came up with the helium escape valve, so when it reaches a certain bar of pressure, the valve actually just automatically has a spring that opens up that valve and lets that helium gas out, therefore protecting your watch. So really ingenious thing by Rolex to add these into their divers' watches. So now let me show you the smallest, the SeaDweller 4000 next to that Deepsea. As you can see, 2.5 millimeter thickness really does add a lot to it. All right. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the crown functions. The crown functions, very similar for all three watches. They're all the same in terms of the crown function. So I'm just going to briefly go over through that. So each watch has the triple waterproofing system, which means that there's three gaskets to block off their, of course, to help with the water resistance. So in this standard position, once the crown is finally fully unwound, you can wind your watch. About 15 to 20 winds is all you need to get the watch started from a dead stop. Pulling the crown out to the next position will allow you to adjust the date instantaneously, very simply, very easily. And you can see at the 3 o'clock position how easy it is to adjust that date. And pulling the crown out to the final position, you can see a seconds hand. This will stop the seconds hand in place, allowing for precise time settings such as to an atomic clock online. You can set it down to the exact seconds for precise time setting. Of course, hands move bidirectionally as well, so you can set the time. So, like I said, all three watches have the same crown functions, so I'm not going to go through each one, but they all have the same crown functions. But always make sure to screw the crown nice and tight in against the case. For the water resistance, I'm just going to be pulling up the SeaDweller 4000 and the Deepsea. It's actually located at the 6 o'clock position, so it's 1,220 meters or 4,000 feet for the SeaDweller 4000, as the name states. And for the Deepsea SeaDweller, actually I do apologize, I'll go ahead and move that minute hand out of the way here. For the SeaDweller, or not SeaDweller, the Deepsea, we're looking at 3,900 meters or 12,800 feet. Okay, so it keeps those water resistances. It keeps those water resistances when the crown is fully in against the case, nice and tight. So the next part is the bracelet. So you would think the bracelets pretty much just look the same, right? They're just all oyster bracelets. As you can see, oyster bracelet, oyster bracelet, oyster bracelet. Actually, there is a minor difference between these bracelets. So this was the original bracelet that the SeaDweller and Deepsea originally used, the previous model of the Deepsea as well. It's just a simple oyster bracelet. But the difference comes in the newer models now, specifically the 126600s and 126660s, is that the three-piece links, the outer of the three-piece links have been actually shortened down by a small amount, probably like a millimeter or so, and they've actually added that millimeter into the center of the oyster link. Now you're thinking, why would they do that? So let me show you side by side. As you can see, much larger middle links now, smaller outer links, and the reason for that is because they wanted a more proportional view of the watch. So the Deepsea is a very large watch, but the links, if you have this bracelet, you can see it in the previous model of the Deepsea, where you can see it in the links of the bracelet. It looks much more proportioned now. It doesn't look as thin as the SeaDweller 4000's bracelet. It's nice and proportionate, and they did another change as well, and I did forget to mention in the case, as I do apologize, I actually wanted to put these two facts together, is that for the lugs of the case, you can see that the SeaDweller 4000's case lugs are a little bit larger. They've actually slimmed it down on the Deepsea's case. On the SeaDweller case, I believe they did the same thing as well. Yeah, nice. See, slimmer lugs on the case of the newer style watches, and the change of the oyster bracelet. It was done on the SeaDweller 43, the anniversary SeaDweller as well, where the center link is much larger now. The outer link are a little bit smaller now, and that is just to make the watch overall in proportion and great to look at from the front, because it originally was a large case on a thin bracelet and it just did not look as good. But now both watches, the SeaDweller 43, the Deepsea, all front facing, look nice and in proportion now. So that's the change that they've done to the, once again, case lugs and the bracelet. So moving on now, the class is just a safety folding oyster lock class. Safety being this little lock on top of the folding oyster. Showing this very beautiful high polish on the class with the Rolex name embossed on there. The only difference between the class is the functions of the glide lock extension link. So the glide lock is located behind the class. You can see these little rivets here, about 2mm increments per rivet to a full total amount of 20 millimeters. And you can simply slide the bracelet inward or outwards. Very easy to adjust. Okay. The SeaDweller 43 has that same style of the glide lock, so I'm not going to go over the SeaDweller 43s, but the Deepseas actually works a little bit differently. So the Deepseas, actually, when you pull out that glide lock, it doesn't move, because the reason why is that they have a different style where you have to pull it on the back of the class, and then you'll be able to adjust it. And then pushing it back down locks it in place. So push that back. All right. So that's it for the bracelet and the class. So talking about the movements, I'll briefly go over the movements. The movements of each watch, not too different for the newer style. So the SeaDweller 43 and the Deepsea have the same style movements, which is the 32-35. The SeaDweller 4000, of course, uses the previous movement, which is the 31-35. The 31-35 movement was a tried and tested movement for over 20 years. One of Rolex's sturdiest and best movements. And now they've updated to the 32-35. They're all housed in their respective case backs. Okay, sure. So let me flip this over here. As you can see, their case backs, nice oyster case backings. The SeaDweller name all around the case itself. You can see that the Deepseas is actually a little bit darker case backing, and that's because this actually uses a grade 5 titanium for its case back, and that's in conjunction with the ring lock system as well. So those two work hand in hand together. But specifically speaking about the movement, so the 31-35 is an in-house made movement by Rolex. It is a perpetual mechanical self-winding movement. Has a precision of -2 + 2 seconds a day, and it just has the functions of the center, hour, minute, and seconds hand with instantaneous changing of the date and the stopping in the seconds hand for precise time setting. It has a paramagnetic blue parachrome hairspring for the oscillator, meaning that it also has additional resistance against magnetism. And it has a power reserve of 48 hours, meaning you can put this watch down on a Friday evening, pick it back up on a Sunday afternoon, and be keeping time just fine. So what did the 32-35 update from that movement? So the 32-35 movement for the 43 SeaDweller and the Deepsea. So what they updated on the 32-35 movement is that they added a high performance Paraflex shock absorbers, which is Rolex's in-house made shock absorbers that absorb 50% more shocks than the industry standard KIF shock absorbers. Not only that, but they added a new style escapement, which they've labeled the Chronergy escapement wheel, or Chronergy escapement. So what the Chronergy escapement is a skeletonized escapement wheel made out of a nickel phosphorus. The skeletonization helps with the reduction of inertia, meaning it helps with more precise precision with the time, but also the nickel phosphorus helps with additional resistance against magnetism, and paired with that paramagnetic blue parachrome hairspring. Because of that escapement update, we have a new power reserve for the watch. The power reserve is 70 hours, meaning you can put this watch down on a Friday evening, pick it back up on a Monday afternoon, and it'll be keeping time just fine. So once again, just very briefly, that was updates. For the updates of the movement was the Paraflex shock absorbers, the Chronergy escapement, and the higher power reserve of the watch. Okay, now I'll go ahead and quickly show you these watches on my wrist. So we'll start off with the SeaDweller 4000. Once again, we saw that profile of it being about 14.9 or so. You can see very standard sports watch. The black dial, the maxi hour markers, that beautiful black ceramic bezel, the oyster bracelet. Just a very just a unique piece of just being very, very regular. Okay, moving on to the SeaDweller 43. So SeaDweller 43. Okay, so as you can see, similar to the SeaDweller 4000, but that red text really makes that dial pop a little more. That Cyclops lens really modernizing that SeaDweller to make it look something like a Submariner. You can see same thickness, or very similar thickness, just at 0.2. And that dial being a little bit larger helps as well, being a 43 millimeter. So that, and let me move on to the Deepsea. So Deepsea, the largest of the three watches. Once again, this one's 44 millimeter. As you can see, this is the Deepsea. Looks very incredibly large on my wrist. You can see that profile sits very, very high on the wrist. That's what I believe is 17.5. See. All right, so if you're interested in any of these watches, you can check out our website at JazTime.com. We have the lowest prices guaranteed. We offer a 1-year warranty. And if you like the video, please like, comment, subscribe below. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you guys soon.
If you want to find out more about the watch you just saw in the video, you can just click below on Show More to see the full description. Then you can check the link next to Model as seen in video, click on it, and you will get to the proper page where you can see all the details. If you're watching on a mobile phone, you have to click on the arrow down on the right hand side below the video to see the full description. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you would like to share this video with your friends, you can use the share button below and share it on any platform you like. If you have questions, constructive feedback, want to tell us about some mistakes or misspeaks, just write a comment below. If you want to see more videos like this, you should subscribe to our channel and visit our channel page where you can find all the videos. And if you're interested in a specific watch brand, you can check out our playlists. If you want to check the price for a watch or want to buy one, remember at JazTime.com you always get a steep discount, so you should check the prices with us. If you want to know the price for a specific watch, just go to Google, type in JazTime, plus the brand, model, and the details you're interested in, and Google will find the right page for you. Thank you for watching.